I was told you were coming.
A slayer.
Himself stuck, rather like a cork in a bottle.
My ascension is almost here.
Jeez.
I don't like vampires. I'm gonna take a stand and say they're not good.
No way to count on you.
It's fucking
I
fantastic.
love that sound.
The ice cream bar's this way.
Clink. Welcome to today's extra special, not so special episode, everybody. I'm Josh.
I'm Rex.
And today, instead of drinking beer, on today's episode of Beer with Buffy.
Yeah, we're lying to you guys. We're lying to you.
That's right, because today we're drinking whiskey.
Specifically, Jameson whiskey, which is my favorite whiskey.
Yes, it is very Irish. I mean, okay, it's just Irish whiskey. And you guys you're gonna live with it. You're gonna fucking like it, you bunch of goddamn freeloaders. We don't have to give you beer. Hello. How are you today? I guess I'm more of an angry drunk with whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always just a giddy drunk, period. Pretty much whatever it is I'm drinking.
Well, that's fucking adorable. So,
although I do always get louder when I drink, which is difficult considering how fucking loud I am.
That is a challenge. Look at you rising up to challenges. So, last time I checked, you've had some,
My car died.
God damn it.
I wanted to ruin your joke. Because it's not a joke. It's sad.
It'll always be a joke to me, Rex.
It's very sad. I loved that car. Yeah, it was a piece of junk. Yeah, I only paid $400 for it, but I loved that car.
Tell him what you named it.
My car's name was Dr. Jones the Adventure Car.
There it is. Yeah.
Specifically a reference to Indiana Jones's line of, it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Oh my.
Because when I bought it, it had just shy of 300,000 miles on it. I only put 30,000 miles on it.
The dog's name was Indiana.
That's actually a really good fucking impression. Man, look at us avoiding talking about this episode.
Oh. You're not supposed to talk about it. We don't talk about Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, here in this episode.
So, episode 10 of season 1.
It's called Nightmares.
Nightmares.
I nicknamed it somewhere over the shut the fuck up.
Oh, it is definitely that.
So, let's dive right into this, shall we?
Are you sure you don't want to do a mom synopsis?
Oh, well, fuck off. Of course I want to do a mom synopsis. Joshua, you're watching TV again. You're not specifically just paying attention to me constantly. I'm going to have to stop paying attention to your television show so that I can make you tell me what's going on in your television show, what's happening in your television show. Well, they're having some bad dreams. Is that what's going on, Joshua? Are they having bad dreams? They're having bad dreams, and they're coming true, and then they make it stop.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Is this for me? I must be ready. I need my strength. Give me more! Nights I shall walk in the earth.
Hold on. You've got something in your eye.
So the episode opens up, cold open into the Master's Lair, which we haven't seen for a bit.
It's been a minute.
And Buffy's down there in pigtails and everything.
Yeah, you know, my first impression is, man, it's not an unwelcomed sight to see the Master's Lair. It's a nice character to have back. Our dominatrix old man with his monkey slave small child.
And his lair that is just filled with OSHA violations.
And I'm like,
she walks down some stairs. There is no handrail.
And I'm Like, wait, why do we like this character again? Okay, never mind.
And he's barely in here.
Yeah.
And why open? She could have had a different nightmare, is all I'm saying. But yeah, the Master sees her and grabs her. And
Did we
she can't
establish
fight
that
back.
Buffy was in the Master's lair?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember that.
You're not paying attention to me again, Josh.
Yeah, I get it from my mom.
You're not wrong.
Well,
so the Master...
Rex, next time you birth me, then we can talk, okay?
The Master grabs her, and she can't fight back, and then it's revealed that she's having a nightmare.
I'm going to pencil that in for this weekend, by the way. I birthed you last full moon, so...
You are a disturbed individual.
It's not kinky, it's just friendship.
Are here to talk about Buffy.
I am talking about
Not
Buffy.
your really, really uncomfortable, weird religious rites.
This is Buffy. Aren't we Buffying?
No.
We Buffyed last full moon.
What's wrong with you?
I want to know. I don't know.
Warning, folks. We're a little bit drunker than we normally are.
I don't...
I
That's
foresee
none of their damn
coherent...
business. Now, thank you to stay out of their personal affairs.
I foresee this episode being a little bit more incoherent than usual.
I'm perfectly coherent. Are you not coherent, Rex? Do we need to take a break?
No. We've barely even started.
No, fine. Go on. Keep talking about the plot. The hard air quotes.
So, yeah, it's barely a plot. I know. So we find out Buffy's in a nightmare. She wakes up, and today's a big day because her dad's coming to pick her up, which I'm pretty sure is the first time he's ever been fucking mentioned at all.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
And apparently his name is Hank.
Hank?
Yeah,
Well, Hank looked like Dexter.
he did.
I'm assuming he's out of the picture because he's too busy killing people.
Yeah,
You know,
he just wasn't quite redhead enough.
like father, like daughter.
She's not killing people. She's killing demons. They're not people.
Killing, hunting. It's two sides of the same coin.
So anyway, this episode jumps around a lot, which is going to make keeping a coherent podcast more difficult. But we go to...
Because we've kept it so coherent thus far.
Yes, we're totally professionals.
You're welcome.
So we're at the school. Cordy's being Cordy, griping at another dude for being in her light.
Yeah.
We actually get a pretty decent kind of response from Xander here. I didn't write it down, though, because it wasn't... The words weren't that clever.
Oh, yeah, it was, Wendell, don't you know that Cordelia is the center of the universe and we all merely revolve around her? There we go, I got that one.
Did you notice that she didn't argue at all? Like, she just accepted what he said.
No, she rolled with it.
Yeah.
No, the girl knows how to improv. She said, why don't you revolve your way out of my light?
Yeah. So she completely agrees that the world revolves around her still, though.
Yeah, respect was earned on both sides.
Yes.
It was win-win.
So everyone sits down. Xander can't remember the teacher giving homework yesterday because of a sweater that she was wearing.
But he can very vividly recall her sweater.
Which, the teacher wasn't unattractive, but not so attractive that I think would warrant that kind of response from Xander.
Yeah, she didn't exactly knock it out of my ballpark. I kind of thought the same thing. But to each their own.
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, don't be body shaming, man.
No, I mean... Like I said, she wasn't unattractive. She looked like an average teacher.
Yeah.
So once the lecture starts, the teacher starts talking, and then Wendell, this new kid that is introduced in this episode, and I think the only time we ever see him, opens his book, and it's filled with tarantulas.
Tarantulas.
And everyone's freaking out and screaming. Buffy looks over at the door, and there's some kid there.
Creepy-ass kid in the doorway.
He actually... It took me a second because he looks so much like a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I heard Jehovah Gordon-Levitt.
I tripped over my words.
Fair enough.
He looks like a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but he's not, and no relation. He's Jeremy Foley, who has been in pretty much nothing.
Mystery solved. I'm glad we got that one worked out.
I'm just saying the kid looked familiar, even though he's not.
Okay. I honestly don't know who Joseph Gordon-Levitt is.
And then, for some reason, we go back to the Master. We get an interaction with the Master and the chosen one kid, whatever the fuck he's called.
Oh,
And-
the Anointed.
Yeah, the Anointed.
Yeah.
And he has the weird augmented fucking voice, which is just... It sounds stupid.
They tried a little harder this time, but they also gave him less shit to say. Did you notice?
Yes. Yes.
Considerably. I think he said one word. Monsters.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But the Master's, waxing intellectually about pain and touches a cross and shows that it doesn't hurt him even though it's burning his flesh or some shit like that.
I wouldn't even say he was waxing intellectually. He was waxing expositorially.
Yeah, and it...
Like the kind of shit that
Nothing-
nobody really sits
yeah.
and talks about.
Nothing he's saying is remotely fucking relevant, but he says that something weird is going on above. And the entirety of this scene with the Master right before credits is fucking pointless, and they should have went to credits before they cut here. But then we go to credits.
Yeah, they made it seem like it was going to be a big episode about the Master.
Yeah.
And something that...
It's not.
Something that he did to fuck with Buffy. Turns out, no, just his spidey sense is tingling. And I'm like... Pfft.
Hey, got your steak. Hey, got your steak.
So we cut to the next day after opening credits. Buffy's kind of weirded out by the spider thing, I guess, and worried that her dad's not going to show.
Yeah, something like that.
This episode is really kind of dull. The entire first half is just boring.
What? Don't judge.
It's boring.
It has hope.
It has hope. Once the climax of the story happens and they're dealing with the actual plot, it's not bad, but the build-up is just grinding.
Yeah, the setup. Oh, the setup. So anyway.
Willow's freaking out about the spiders.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few hints throughout the entire first third of this movie. There's background stuff happening with different students about revolving around their nightmares and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're getting a lot of hints that nightmares are going on.
Mm-hmm. Like the scene with the greasers.
Yes.
Suddenly there's a greaser gang in this high school. And one of them's talking about, we're going to take him down because he needs to learn about respect and honor. And then his mom comes in and starts being like,
why are there
honey, my
greasers?"
baby darling.
It would have worked if they were punked out or something, or goth kids maybe.
Right,
or
but fucking greasers. They didn't even try.
No, they really didn't.
They had some leather jackets sitting around in the back room, and they said, what if some greasers, blah.
Yeah. And so they go into the library, and Giles is not there, and all of a sudden he pops out of the stacks, and he's like, I was lost.
Looked a bit disheveled.
And he had gotten lost in the stacks,
Which
apparently.
is uncharacteristic for Giles.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But there's a good line here, because they're telling Giles about the spiders, and Xander, while talking to Giles...
Being a dick. Fucking dick.
Uses his fingers to mimic a spider crawling on Willow's shoulder, and she freaks out and turns
Because we
around.
had just established that she hates spiders in the hallway scene before this.
And she turns around and smacks him, and he looks at her and deadpans, "It's funny if you're me."
Yeah, I got that one too. Not a bad episode for Xander, frankly.
No, and honestly, I didn't write that many I didn't write that many lines down. Not really.
No, I wrote down a few lines just because it helped me remember the scene better.
Yeah.
I didn't really get any quotes of the day per se.
There's not any great quotes.
Which I almost wrote down the entirety of Buffy's scene with her dad.
I made a couple of notes on that as well.
God,
we'll get there. We'll get there. That's a bit ahead. But the Scooby Gang decides to go talk to Wendell, which was the kid who had the spiders happen to him.
Uh-huh.
And Wendell, damn Wendell, you need some Xanax or something. You're a bit too intense.
He's a little angsty. I don't, well...
I understand that something big and traumatic happened to him, but he talks about this spider incident as it being a nightmare that he has encountered before, but he's very intense about it.
Right. I was going to say, I think he might just be hanging out with Angel a lot, because he's acting like he's in the professional school for broody
he really
children.
Is. He really is. He's like, it takes them a few times of saying his name for him to even acknowledge him.
I
And
assume
they're standing directly in front of him.
I assume he was going for, like, post-traumatic stress disorder. And, I expected him to slowly, freak out about how awful yesterday was. But, so we find out that he wasn't upset for the reasons we thought he was.
Right. He actually loves spiders. He used to have spiders. Due to the stupidity of his brother, they were dead. And ever since then, he's had nightmares about spiders.
Yeah. I guess about getting revenge enacted upon him by spiders for accidentally killing them. When really, it was his brother that killed them.
Yeah. Child logic. That's definitely child logic.
Yeah.
But in the middle of this Wendell scene, Cordy walks by and is like, Buffy, we have a history test.
Which is super out of character for Cordelia.
I wrote down, Cordy being nice and helpful must be a nightmare. But, like, Buffy isn't even really sure where class is, doesn't really recall being in this class, hasn't studied for the test, sits down to take the test, like, the time's jumping forward, so it's over within a few moments.
Yeah, I really liked the way they did the filmography of this scene.
They did it well. It felt like a nightmare.
It did. Very exaggerated shadows.
Definitely.
Definitely. The way she broke her lead.
Like, she broke her lead like she was, like, trying to break the pencil in half on the paper.
Like she was trying to stab a fucking hole through her desk.
Yeah.
And the look on the, and the incessant ticking in the background.
Yep.
The look on the teacher's face just completely...
Who was so, like, the most quintessential, like, early 80s teacher.
Yeah.
Like, ever. Like, any teen comedy that you saw from the 80s had this fucker as a teacher there.
It's got those thick Coke bottle glasses. And
slightly balding. The hair that he has is a little too long.
The 70s stash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any moment now, you're thinking Ferris Bueller's going to bump through the door or something. But yeah, she sees the kid again, I think, here.
Yeah, he pops up in the doorway.
Yeah.
Just as her test is over, which literally 30 seconds went by.
Right. And she
at
didn't...
most.
And
it was obviously supposed to be, like, real time for Buffy as well.
Right. And there was a good line from her, though, because she's looking at her blank test and looking at the questions. I tried to pause it and actually read some of the questions, but they weren't on screen long enough to really get a good look. I just wanted to see if there was, like, any, like, if they were coherent questions.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't think that far ahead.
But she goes, at least I know my name. And when she goes to write her name is when she breaks the pencil.
Yeah.
And then she looks up and the bell rings for the test being over. And so she's all freaking out about that.
Which, that's fair. That's actually one of my bigger anxiety dreams. Not necessarily a test per se, so much as basically I have this dream, a recurring dream, that it's the end of the semester and I felt like I was forgetting something all semester. Oh shit. I've not been going to one of my classes all semester.
I actually did that.
I remember you telling me that because I've told you about this dream before. So.
I actually did that. I was in college and I was doing piecemeal classes rather than any sort of like specific schedule.
Yeah.
And I picked up this class and I went to the first two and then just somehow fucking forgot about it. And then I didn't realize that I had not been going to this class till they're like, "Oh, you're dropped from this class." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So yeah, that's actually a totally legit nightmare.
There's a reason why you're here. The reason what's now. There's a reason why you're here. The reason
And then back out into the rest of the school, the camera goes to these couple of students we'd never seen before, and one decides to go down in the basement of the school to smoke.
Yeah.
Which, it seems like there would be better places for this.
Yeah, not to mention, this basement was an ocean nightmare.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
I think the master should move in there.
This basement looked like something out of Nightmare on Elm Street.
It did.
It really did.
Yeah, like, the lighting alone...
yeah, like, there are no lights. There should be at least one light.
Yeah, it looked more like a basement from the fucking Evil Dead than a high school.
Why didn't she, like, stop at the top of the stairs and go, maybe I don't need a cigarette? Because I don't think I'd go down there.
Yeah, also, I was thinking, wow, if this is one of your nightmares, then this basement should really be the last fucking place you even consider going into.
I was also really kind of surprised that they had a high school student smoking, or like she was about to smoke. They never showed her actually smoking, but I was a little surprised at this. However, it's obviously for a slight kind of joke sort of thing that they do.
They tied it together with the non-smoking ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my point. So we hear this voice say Lucky 19, and this big giant oafish monster looking dude who's bald and in a trench coat.
Shall we dub him the Ugly Man?
Yes.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, your villain.
Who's not very impressive.
The one, the only, the most terrifying of all, the Ugly Man.
He has some scarring on his face.
Yeah.
Like he's got he has a baseball, like a giant club-like baseball bat thing for a hand.
Was that for his hand?
Yeah.
I thought he was just holding it.
No, it was his hand.
Oh, whatever.
But he
had a dead eye.
Yeah, he attacks this girl, and as he's beating her, the camera like pans to the side, and we see a smoking kills ad. And it was kind of a big eye roll moment for me.
Yeah.
Wasn't
there another non-smoking ad?
Yeah, and it showed like the sexiest man ever shirtless with a cigarette in his mouth, and it said something like smoking was bad for you, or smoking kills, or something like that.
Huh.
And it's like, that is not how you make those ads.
That's not a non-smoking ad. They should just have a pack of cigarettes attached to that sign that says, "Here, light up."
Yeah, pretty much. So then we're back in the library.
I need to follow along with my notes better. It's when they were talking to, Wendell?
Yep.
About his spider thing. And he was like, no, I really love spiders. Fucking Xander. He's like, it is platonic, right?
Yeah. Xander's reactions in that entire scene were fucking just fantastic.
We must hand it to the boy. He has a very nice, healthy libido. He clearly can't stop thinking about sex one fucking way or another.
No, he cannot.
No matter what's going on. So, 16-year-old boy.
Yeah, anyway, we end up in the library where Giles learns that he can't read. And he's freaking out because that's one of his nightmares.
No, we cut to the hospital after smoking kills.
Oh, right.
Yes. So, my first note was, how the fuck did anybody even find her down there?
Yeah. Also, she didn't look very beaten. They really underdid the makeup effects.
They really could have.
Like, for her being in the hospital.
Yeah.
The doctor later says that she has broken bones, but she doesn't look like she was beaten.
They really could have exaggerated that a lot, sure. But yeah, I mean, even if there was a janitor in the basement, he wouldn't have seen her. He'd just thought she was another pile of trash laying around.
There was no light.
Oh, got to push the mop cart over this lump. There we go.
Push it aside with my foot.
It's squishy, this one. Very squishy. So we know we're in the hospital because Giles is wearing his hospital ascot.
Is that have we seen them?
It's the only time I've seen him wear it.
Really?
Maybe I just haven't noticed. Maybe it's the only time I noticed him wearing the ascot. But several episodes ago, I think it was the witch episode. Definitely the witch episode. So all the way back to episode 3.
Wow.
I made mention of Giles And it was like, is that a fucking ascot he's wearing? I need to make fun of that.
I actually hope that that's a running thing that they do with Giles.
Yes.
Like, anytime he goes to the hospital, he needs this ascot.
Well, they fucked it up already just internally with this episode, because he does put it on again later when they do other things not hospital related.
So yeah, the doctor in this scene. Oh my, the doctor in this scene.
Really?
Well, because he looks
Tell us
at him.
about the doctor in this scene.
Dude, he looks at him, he's like, they're asking about the girl.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, are you family? And they're like, no, we're friends. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll tell you anyway then.
Yeah. No patient confidentiality here.
And then not only tells them about, like, her, but tells them about this other kid, the first victim, who...
Yeah.
And just like, this doctor is giving out way too much information.
Yeah, seriously, I was like, man, maybe you should involve the police first. Anyway.
Back to the library, right?
So, yeah,
Oh,
so
no,
I've got Willow and Xander talk about a possible connection between Wendell and Laura.
Yep, and then...
That's when the greaser thing in the hallway happens.
And then Buffy and Giles are in the library. This is when Giles can't read.
Yep.
And this is when they find out about Billy, who is a kid who is in the hospital, who was beaten, who sounds like to be the first victim of this Lucky 19 ugly man dude.
Because even though Giles can't read, he still happens to have just exactly the right article out on the table at the right time, even though it's a week old for Buffy to notice.
Buffy even says in this scene that, Giles, you're the answer guy.
Yeah.
Or something like to that effect. And I'm like, but Giles is very rarely the answer guy at this point.
He usually has suggestions, at least, to give them things to go on.
But
off of.
And this is when, honestly, one of the hardest fucking scenes in this entire episode happens. Because
what, Xander ends up in his underwear?
No. Buffy's dad shows up.
We did skip over that, though. Like,
well,
Willow was with...
It happened right here. But yeah, it's hard to keep track of
So yeah, little nightmare things are happening all over the school.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more obvious that, like, weird shit's happening. I just thought it was funny how, when they're telling Buffy and Giles about this, Willow was all... she had this wry smile on her face. And Xander's like, no, it was bad. It was very bad.
And did you notice when Xander bolts out of the room, she happily follows him, and like she does not look as upset about anything that's going on.
Poor Xander was in his underwear. Oh my fucking God, Xander. You need to throw that girl a bone.
It is really funny because he like pinches himself 3 or 4 times. And he's like, ow.
And it did look like that would have been a painful spot to pinch
No,
yourself.
It was not.
I mean, no, yeah. Did just that little...
Is it?
That little flap of skin, like
Oh,
right
yeah.
right around your armpit there?
It doesn't take much.
It's sensitive. It's like the inside of your thighs, except it's your arm.
It's hard for me to say anything cool or witty or at all. I can usually make a few vowel sounds and then I have to go away.
I don't mean to interrupt your downward mobility.
Yeah, you're the Slayer
I
and
just wanted to
we're
tell
like the Slayerettes.
Oh, please.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we get to the point where Buffy's dad shows up early.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really funny that he shows up early and he's like, Buffy, why weren't you in class? Like, if you thought she was in class, why the hell are you there?
Hey, Dad, why aren't you in my life?
And then, so they go outside to talk, and, oh man.
And the most brutally painful conversation ever.
Like, I know
goes
that
down.
this is supposed to be a nightmare thing, but good Lord, could you ever imagine a father saying this to his daughter?
For the level of awful that this was, I have mad respect for the way this man played this scene.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
I consider myself now a connoisseur of the shitty, of the shit-tastic, and this was filet mignon.
Yeah, this dude, his delivery of this was phenomenal. And I wrote down the main bit that really fucking mattered to me.
And he just launched right into it.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I wanted to tell you why your mom and I divorced." And
oh, well, wasn't it just because, like, you were... I forget what she said.
You grew apart.
He's
And
like,
he goes,
oh, my, no.
It was you. All the trouble you're getting in. I mean, seriously, you were a handful. But he specifically, he says to her, "I'm not going to go on."
and then he goes on. Specifically, continues on.
And
speaking of which... I don't really get anything out of these weekends with you, so...
Before he says that, though, he says, "You're sullen and rude and not nearly as bright as I thought you were going to be." And just the tone at which he says that is like, "And you're just not nearly as bright as I thought you were going to be." And it's so fucking underhanded and just the cruelest goddamn thing I could imagine happening to her. And then he tells her, "Yeah, I don't get anything out of this. Bye." And his whole tone is like, "Oh, you're fine with it, right?" I love it. It's actually kind of heart-wrenching.
Speaking of which, Rex, I really don't get anything out of these podcasts with you. So, what do you say we just don't do them anymore? Alrighty?
We have nothing else to do with our lives.
Whiskey?
Except drink and talk about stupid TV shows.
Whiskey! So, Xander and Willow and Giles all suddenly figure out that their nightmares are coming true.
Hold on. I have to make a mention of something. When Xander and Willow are in the library, Buffy's already left, and they're telling Giles about the nightmares. Giles responds with, oh, of course it's nightmares. It's definitely not a musical comedy version of this. And I want to specifically mention this because he says this line, and this episode is mentioned in Once More with Feeling.
Oh, there was another thing that happened in this episode that reminded me of Once More with Feeling.
Yes. And we'll get to that when we get to that.
No.
I know.
Just one little thing that Willow said when they were talking about the spiders. She said...
something earlier?
Yeah. She specifically said, "And what do they need all those 8 legs for anyway?" Which is almost line for line, or almost word for word, a line from Once More with Feeling. And what's with all the carrots? What do they need such good eyesight for anyway?
But yeah, during that same song, there's the line of, "Maybe some kid is dreaming." And we're all stuck in his wacky musical nightmare. And so, like, they actually call back to this specific episode. Yeah, so when I heard this line, I'm like, oh my God, they called forward to Once More with Feeling even.
Nice.
Holy shit, that's impressive, especially considering how much later in the series Once More with Feeling is.
Yeah, what was that, season 5?
I think so. Yeah.
I want to say it was like...
5 or 6.
I want to say it was like season 5, episode 7 or something.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to remember the episode.
Yeah, I'm probably...
I thought it was fucking amazing writing that they were able to call back and forth like that so well.
Joss Whedon, we need your time machine.
So, the next part gets a bit hard to keep track of, but Buffy finds this Billy kid. Because after her dad leaves, she sees Billy. So she follows Billy, and they're in the gym, and they run into the ugly guy. At this exact same moment, Giles, Xander, and Willow leave the library, and they're like, "Let's split up." And of course, Willow's response is, "That's a bad idea," as they all split up.
Did she say that was a bad idea?
Yeah, she said something along the lines of it being safer to stay together or something.
Good on her.
Oh, yeah. She's the smart one of this situation.
Well, absolutely.
But I honestly think that maybe they split up because that's part of her nightmare. Because there's some instances in this episode where characters are definitely acting a little off.
Yeah. Like, you can never be sure, what actions people were taking and what decisions they were making were, their own or because of the nightmare.
Right. And like, how much free will would you have if my nightmare dictates that you would have to do something?
Yeah, what a clusterfuck.
So that's really what my take on that was, because I can't, like, they don't have a long record of, like, hey guys, let's split up. Like, they're very much a huddle together sort of crowd.
Yeah, you're right. Huh.
So Willow, for some reason, goes into the basement, and while she's down in the basement, she gets grabbed.
She does.
And then it cuts away.
Cuts away. Is that when we cut to Xander?
Yep, we cut to Xander as he's all of a sudden walking through a derelict part of the school that has Nazi symbols spray painted on the walls.
Yeah,
and there's like plastic hanging and shit.
It's like, wait, where the fuck is he?
Yeah.
It looked like a scene out of Half-Life.
It really did.
They had the ladder in the middle of the hallway.
Yep.
The swinging, broken, fluorescent
But he's not
lamp.
in a nightmare. He's in heaven because he is following a trail of fucking candy bars.
All of the chocolate bars. I was so happy for him.
Yes. He was
so excited.
He was so excited. Pure joy. Pure joy. And, like, I love that he's not, like, eating one candy bar and then the next. He's just opening every candy bar he comes
taking
across.
One fucking
taking
bite.
one huge bite. And not even, like, taking the time to chew what's in his mouth.
Yeah, he's
just filling his face like a squirrel.
Too busy seeing all of the other candy bars in the trail to actually chew what he's already taken bites of.
You mean besides me? No, I didn't ask. You mean besides me? Do you believe? I didn't ask. We have to achieve our dreams, otherwise we wither and die. We're going to the other cool place in Sunnydale.
Yep, and then we cut back to Buffy and the kid as they're running from this thing, and then all of a sudden they're in the graveyard. And this is where the payback of having the Master reintroduced in the beginning of the episode comes into play.
Oh, I thought the transition was noteworthy. They went through a bush.
That was phenomenal.
Shrubbery.
Yeah, they went through a shrubbery. God damn it. A shrub.
Uh-huh.
It's a shrub.
Sure.
And they're in the...
That they cut their way through with a herring, and there was a nice little path down the way.
Okay, so...
And then the Master pops out and he says, "Nee!"
Kinda, yeah. Like, she doesn't try to fight back. Apparently, it's the real Master.
Yeah.
For some fucking reason. And, like, he can leave the Hellmouth because of her nightmare.
Because
really fucking stupid.
Because she fears it's true.
Yeah. It's really dumb to me that they didn't even need having the nightmare of her with the Master in the first bit of the episode, fine.
Yeah.
But having the bit where he's like saying, "Oh, something weird is going on," that is so pointless. It doesn't even add to this.
Also, I mean, the way they wrap up the episode, he's clearly not going to remember that this happened.
Exactly.
Unless being a supernatural being gives you extra special memory powers.
I guess, maybe. But
sure.
She gets thrown in a grave. And he fucking buries her?
Yeah. He does that quintessential bullshit villain thing where I think I will just leave them unattended and just assume that everything went to plan. What?
More importantly, though, he throws her into the open grave, into a coffin. The coffin closes, and he starts burying it. And he's, like, laughing as he's burying it. Yeah. And I wonder how long he was laughing before he's like, fuck, this is hard.
Or before he realized that she couldn't hear him anymore.
Right. Where are his lackeys? Why did he decide that he needed to fill that hole with dirt?
Yeah, he never does his own dirty work. Huh. Also, I imagine he'd get super sweaty in that leather jacket.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't add any, like, leather creaks to him moving at all.
He consistently does not think things through.
No.
We should go back and we should add leather creaks to everything.
Yes.
Specifically the Master.
So then we go back to Willow, I think.
Probably.
And
she's having her stage fright nightmare.
She's in an opera.
Which, I don't know, is she a singer?
She's not.
I don't understand why she would have nightmares about that.
I don't either.
Did somebody make her sing a recital when she was like 6?
Yeah, and there's nothing mentioned anything about it. We get more backstory and context to the fucking clown that shows up next.
Yeah.
And her situation isn't even really that bad. It's not like people are like trying to murder her or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
she's just on stage and can't sing.
Yeah. I mean, okay, here's another legitimate anxiety dream that I often have. This is recurring.
This is not your therapy session.
Well, I paid for my fucking microphone myself. So excuse me a moment. Having been in theater a lot, which makes it make a lot more sense, having anxiety in dreams is not uncommon, where you're in a show that you've been in before, but it's like a reboot, and they called you last minute, and they're like, hey, can you come in and do this role? And then, like, you can't find all your old costume bits, and then it's like 5 minutes to open to your cue to come on, and then you're still trying to get your pants on by the time your cue comes around, and then you get out there and you can't remember the words very well, and it's just a clusterfuck. It's one big clusterfuck.
I'm increasingly happy that I was never a theater kid.
Yeah. However, in this scenario, I was like, why would you even care, Willow? Wouldn't you just be like, I think I'm in the wrong building, I have to go?
Yeah. Then we go to Xander.
Yeah.
And Xander is following his candy bar trail and comes across a chocolate hurricane.
He does.
Which, chocolate hurricane, to me, sounds like a terrible name for a candy bar.
Yeah, it sounds like poop.
Yep, exactly. And so he's marveling at this chocolate hurricane and he's like, I haven't seen one of these since my 6th grade birthday.
It sounds like a poopy sex act.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm going to give you a chocolate hurricane. No! You said yes in the email. Oh, shit!
So he has this moment where he's like, I haven't seen this since my 6th grade birthday, when the clown was there. And then this clown stabs through the plastic next to him, and they just dub a laugh over this clown.
Oh yeah, that definitely wasn't actually coming out of his mouth.
But I love it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
The quality of the laugh is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And because you ever have, when you were a kid, one of those like laughing boxes or something? You press a button and it just laughs and laughs.
You're the only person who had a laughing box, Rex.
It was.
Did it make you feel like you had more friends?
I was not the only person who had one of those. But
how would you know?
That's what the laugh was like. Well, they sold them in stores. I couldn't have possibly been the only kid whose parents bought that stupid toy for.
Yeah.
But that's what the laugh reminded me of.
Seems to make sense.
Specifically, I remember in the very end of the first Batman movie, when the Joker falls off the building, he has one.
Huh.
And it's laughing.
So you and a Batman villain had one.
Yes.
That makes 2. Keep going.
Well, I don't really know anyone else that much.
That's my point exactly.
Fuck you.
Now we can move on.
So, Willow is getting tomatoes thrown at her as she comes out of a room, and Xander runs into her.
Yep.
And I didn't write down their exchange here, but he says to her, "Remember when I was 6 at my birthday party?" And she starts laughing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you mean when the clown chased you around?"
Uh-huh.
And then he's obviously not happy about it, and she's like, "Oh no!" And the clown just bursts through the plastic and is chasing after him.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a decent clown too, and it's not like super goofy of a clown, which pleased me. Are you lost in your notes?
No. I literally only have one note about the clown. It's Xander's finding chocolate and dreaming about clowns.
Mostly the note I have is that he punches the clown.
He does punch the clown.
So they find Giles.
It wasn't half as satisfying as I wanted it to be. It looked like he totally whiffed, but then the clown went down anyway.
But
which is kind of how fight choreography
I
works.
can only imagine how good that felt to Xander, like, as the character.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been super satisfying.
Hey, got your steak. Hey, got your steak.
They realize that, they're like, we got to find Buffy. How do we find Buffy? And Xander's like, I don't remember the graveyard being there.
Yeah.
And when did it get so night over there?
Yeah, that was really neat
just
how
like
they...
a portal in the
Uh-huh.
in the frame of, and there's the graveyard.
And that explained how the going through the bush turned into nighttime thing. So that was neat. I wasn't expecting that to be a thing that other people could just see.
Right. I honestly kind of expected that when they went through the shrubs, they actually like ended up in the graveyard.
Uh-huh.
Like they actually were on the other side of town all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, I figured it was more of a teleportation thing as well, because I mean, the ugly man wasn't suddenly following them through the bushes.
Exactly. Like, what the hell? Why didn't he just go run through the graveyard too?
Yeah, so not entirely consistent there,
Yeah,
but whatever.
And so Willow and Xander ask, whose nightmare is this? Giles is like, it's mine, as they come across Buffy's grave. And Giles gets a really, like, sad face kind of moment here.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, touches his hand to the grave just as Buffy's hand, like, pops out of the dirt.
And they're really mishmashing dreams here at this point, because I'm like, no, it's not your dream. It's her dream, because she got buried by the Master, but then there's actually a headstone, so she must be, hard air quotes dead.
And it's funny, because I was actually thinking the exact same thing at this moment in the show as well.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it's, like, this dream that is currently happening with them is aspects of Giles's dream and her dream.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me.
And yeah, I mean, that I think just shows how much of a clusterfuck this whole nightmare world thing is becoming.
Right.
And that's fine.
And Giles has mentioned a few times at this point that if this continues to happen, reality will be destroyed.
Yeah. So she drags her own ass out of the grave, basically, and she's a vampire now. Oh, Buffy, I didn't know that you dreamt about being a vampire. Vampire.
Why? Like, first off, Giles, obviously she'd have that nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, that is exactly the kind of nightmare that you'd expect a vampire slayer to have.
Yeah, that would really define failure in her field.
I mean, that's like my friend who's a butcher has nightmares about accidentally cutting off his fingers. That tracks to what he does in his life.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense that she has nightmares about being a vampire.
It certainly does. But, to be fair, to his credit, he was very sympathetic about it.
Oh, yeah. And they all are, which is good. They don't try to slay her, which is also good. But her exit line here is pretty good. Because she says, we better find him fast because I'm getting hungry.
Oh, yeah.
And as they're walking off scene...
Which definitely, sealed the deal. It's like, wait, but is she really a vampire? Or does she
I think she is.
Does she just look like a vampire? Well, because of the nightmare thing, yeah, she was technically actually a vampire for that moment.
I think it's more than that, though. And we'll get back to that. During the final confrontation fight.
Okay.
Because I have a thing to say about that. But as they're exiting scene, Willow is like just going on and on about something. And Giles just deadpans to her, Willow, do shut up. As they exit scene.
I enjoyed that also.
So they go to the hospital to wake up Billy. That's the plan, I guess.
Yeah.
And as they're dude, holy shit. As like the scale at which everyone's lives are falling apart is monumental here, and like there are nightmares fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
How the hell did they even get to the hospital with all the shit going on?
Yeah, the hospital's literally gone, full zombie apocalypse mode. The doctor's hands are crumpled up into some weird claw thing. There's fucking bees, big ones, and lots of them outside. Giles is not wearing his hospital ascot. It's pandemonium.
I also had the question that if Buffy is an actual vampire, how did she get to the hospital? And there's a couple of times where she's standing in direct sunlight. So she must not actually be a vampire. However, when they get to this kid's room, and then all of a sudden, they're like talking to his astral projection while he's laying there, and they're like, "Just wake up."
They had a real fucking solid plan, which explains why Giles was so scared of considering that their plan would not work, and thusly needed to tell Willow to shut up, which is akin to kicking a puppy, and I normally would disapprove of. However, I understood his need for it in this particular occasion.
And so Buffy ends up fighting the ugly man.
She does. Showdown with the ugly man.
And her line right before the fight is, "I've had a really bad day." That's her one line.
Is that why they call it a one-liner?
I mean, it's...
Well, fuck me
It's
sideways.
not a conversation. I mean, it's a one-liner. It's just you don't expect a response. The fight is the response.
Oh.
But anyway, this is where my question comes, because earlier when she fought this dude, she could not fight him. She was not strong enough. But now she just fucking destroys him.
Yeah.
And so my question here is she a vampire or is she not? Because she doesn't seem to be a vampire because she doesn't burn up in the sunlight, but she's obviously stronger than she was. Because she looks like she has vampire strength plus Slayer strength.
Right. My personal theory that I came up with just a minute ago is
A whole minute ago is that the Nightmare Simulator generator's processor and RAM are maxing out. And so inconsistencies... The system is starting to lag.
Yes, inconsistencies are popping up everywhere. Registry errors, the whole shebang.
The Matrix is coming apart, guys.
All kinds of deja vu.
But the moment that Billy unmasks the ugly man, because apparently it's a mask.
Yeah, and he just innately knew.
They totally Scooby-Doo'd this.
They did. The rest is up to you, Billy. Just grabs his face, rip. And well, I'm glad he knew what to do.
I guess, yeah. At least someone did. So then all the nightmares are gone. But apparently the only people who are aware of this is the Scooby Gang.
Scoob! We're totally trapped in a nightmare in the hospital. What are we going to do? How did I miss that?
I don't know.
I almost let you keep talking, and that upsets me.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in you, too.
More the hearing you continue talking
Fuck you.
than anything that could have been my fault.
It's hard for me to say anything cool or witty or at all. I can usually make a few vowel sounds and then I have to go away.
I don't mean to interrupt your downward mobility.
Yeah, you're the Slayer
I
and
just wanted to
we're
tell
like the Slayerettes.
Oh, please.
So, the bad guy in this entire episode turns out to be the baseball coach of this kid.
The coach.
Who beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, that was my question. I was like, wait, did he beat the fuck out of him? Or did he just tell him it was his fault?
I think he beat him.
He must have beat the fuck out of him.
And my guess is with a baseball bat, because of the way the ugly man was. He had a baseball bat for an arm.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's my guess. But just...
Why? Yeah, still flimsy as fuck.
This is, I think, the first time that there's really like a bad guy that is just a normal person.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's played off that this was a kind of a normal thing that happened that was awful, but the Hellmouth just made it 20 times worse because they're on the Hellmouth, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
like, the kid probably wouldn't have been able to astral project if he hadn't been on the Hellmouth. Exactly. Maybe the fucking coach wouldn't have beat the fuck out of him if they hadn't been on the Hellmouth.
Yeah, I get the feeling that the Hellmouth in Sunnydale has kind of an effect similar to, like, if you've ever read the book It by Stephen King.
I haven't, actually.
So the big thing with It in this town of Derry is that It is making the town awful, So what the reason why all these awful things are happening in these kids' lives is because it being there just makes everything awful. So like the kid they're abused by their parents, that is made worse because it is in the town and it just kind of exudes this dark energy. So I kind of get the feeling that the Hellmouth is similar to that, in that there are more awful things happening, just like normal awful things on top of supernatural awful things, solely because the Hellmouth is there.
Yeah, I like that theory. Now I kind of want to watch that movie because I never really understood what the plot was at all.
The new one they put out is actually pretty damn good.
That's what I've heard.
I actually like it a lot better than the miniseries with Tim Curry as it.
Oh, wait, there wasn't an original, just like singular movie?
No, it was a made-for-TV miniseries.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like, dude, it's like 5 hours long or some shit.
Uh-huh. So anyway, so the kid wakes up. They're back in Kansas now.
Yep.
Which is funny because before the kid wakes up and has that actual Wizard of Oz reference moment where he's like, hey,
you were there.
I had a dream and you were there and you were there. Anyway, I wrote in my notes just when Xander, Willow, Giles, and Buffy were all headed off to the hospital, I was like, and they're off to see the wizard. Just flippantly that's how I put it.
Isn't it freaky when your notes correspond with the show in weird ways? I've had that happen a few times.
Yes. That's specifically the point I was trying to make. I'm glad you absorbed it.
Yes, I'm good at that.
Much like a poopy diaper.
No. Ew.
Wrapped around your grandma's face.
It's a chocolate hurricane.
Ew. Oh, bazinga. Full circle.
We've just defined what a chocolate hurricane is.
Full circle, man. All right, so wrap-up scene.
So yeah, during the wrap-up, everyone's fine, and Buffy's actual dad shows up, which I guess he doesn't remember what happened.
Oh, not at all. And Buffy seems completely unaffected.
Yeah, the logic of this episode pisses me off.
Yeah.
I've noticed that about a lot of Buffy episodes, is the wrap-up is like everything just goes back to normal and no one thinks twice about any of the weird shit that happened.
The important thing is he got done killing all those other serial killers that he needed to, so now he can pay attention to Buffy again.
Her dad is not Dexter.
We have yet to see. I would like to personally request that we come up with some serious fan theories that Dexter is, in fact, Buffy's dad. Thank you.
No. Dexter's too young.
So they've got this... did you notice the music playing?
I didn't.
During this wrap-up scene? It had this like playful 90s sitcom, super white, non-threatening guitar riff.
That's probably why I ignored it.
Kind of feeling going on. And it was just out of character in general for Buffy.
They usually have pretty good music on these episodes.
Yeah.
But Willow, at the very end of this, what the fuck, Willow? She turns to Xander and is just like, hey, I'm curious.
Oh, yeah.
Were you still attracted to Buffy when she was a vampire?
Right? Could you be more insecure, girl?
And Xander's... He's like, oh, no, she was grotesque. But yeah. And he specifically says, I'm sick, I need help, as they walk off camera. And I thought, yes, Xander, you're sick and you need help.
And she said, don't I know it? And basically, I couldn't be more pissed knowing that they never hook up.
I was sitting thinking about this specific line because it annoyed me, because it seemed so off that she would even ask this question. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I think she's asking because she's attracted to Buffy on some level, and she still found Buffy to be attractive when she was a vampire, and she wanted to ask Xander about it.
Yeah. You too? Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Huh.
It tracks. It tracks. It's the only reason I can think that she would ask in the way that she did.
That is an interesting theory.
There's your fan theory.
It's a fan theory.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not the one I wanted, though.
But it's the one you deserve.
God damn it.
Is this from me? I must be ready. I need my strength. Give me more!
Night I shall walk the earth.
Hold on. You've got something in your eye.
So what was your favorite quote of the day?
Fucking
There
favorite
weren't
quote
many.
of the fucking day. I knew you were gonna fucking ask me that.
You should know the answer to this.
I don't know. We're probably just gonna have to edit out a long pause while I read through my notes.
I don't think I have a favorite quote of the day.
Yeah?
I don't think there were enough quotes in this episode.
It wasn't a particularly quotable episode. Like, yeah, I would either have to give a quote to Buffy's dad just for saying something ridiculously shitty, or something to Xander just for a total giggity moment.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, then actually, no, I think my quote is going to go to Wendell.
Okay.
Specifically because after the bit with Cordy in the very beginning of the episode, when they're like settling in their seats and Buffy and Willow come up, Xander looks at them and goes, Wendell was in Cordelia's light. And he goes, yeah, I'm so ashamed.
Let's see here. I wrote down pretty much the entirety of Buffy's dad's scene.
It was really good and awful, but good because it was awful.
No, I can't bring myself to give him a quote of the day based on that, because it was really more about delivery and the progression of the entire speech.
Exactly. It definitely wasn't the lines itself.
Yeah.
The quote of the day is, in my opinion, about the delivery plus the line. It's a combination thing.
Absolutely. So, I guess that means Xander's giggity moment. It's the one where he's talking to Wendell. And Wendell says, I really love spiders. And he's like, it is platonic, right? So, sure. That's my quote of the day. Why not?
Well, and you know what? I can't blame Xander for asking that, because the look on Wendell's face when he's like, no, I love spiders. It's like, I think you might need help, Wendell.
Oh, no, I love spiders. Yeah. We knew something was off, Wendell.
Yeah, definitely.
But ew.
So did you like the episode?
Meh.
Yeah, it was a very meh episode.
Whatever.
I guess they needed it to fill time.
Sure.
We have 2 more of this season left.
There's probably character progression or some shit.
I don't know what the next episode is.
I don't know either. Should we?
I think I wonder if the next episode, I'm not going to look it up, but I wonder if the next episode is just a bigger focus on the Master, because I mean, we only have 2 episodes to like get the climax of that arc. So
yeah.
So I'm really wondering what the next episode will be.
Well, it's all about the climax with you, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Can't just have some nice, extended, pleasurable intercourse. Okay, my analogy completely fell apart there.
Much like your life.
Foreplay.
This has been, well, not beer with Buffy, but booze with Buffy. Yay, whiskey.
I'm Josh.
I'm Rex.
Foreskin.
Have a good night.
Foreskin.
You are the slayer. Lives depend upon you.
Foreskin, and 7 years ago.
Allowances for your years, but I expect a certain amount of responsibility, and instead of which you enslave yourself to this cult.
You don't like the color?
You have a sacred birthright. You were chosen to destroy vampires, not to wave pom-poms at people.
Why can't you people just leave me alone?
You are the slayer.
Go ahead. Prepare me.
I'm a watcher. I haven't the skill.
Oh, come on.
thing you've ever dreaded was under your bed, but told yourself couldn't be by the light of day.
One girl in all the world.
Common sense.
One girl in all the
Common
world.
sense. It was a bit, British, wasn't it?
Whee!
Wait, what have we done? Why are we watching this?